Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Bahasoro Kahakudash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, I was a high spirit with lawyer, and today I want to go into a topic entitled "Your estate was your enterprise." Your estate was your enterprise. All right, as it says in the scriptures, Deuteronomy 28 chapter, it says that the stranger that is within thee. All right, what does it mean that is within thee? All right, when you go back to Leviticus the 25th chapter, we had the strangers dwelling amongst us, but they were within our power structure. All right, there were sellers or slaves within our power structure. All right, but it says the stranger that is within thee should get above thee very high. All right, because now we're in his power structure. All right, it says he should lend to you and thou should not lend to him. He should be the head, thou should be the tail. Because the scripture tells you thou shalt not extract usury or interest from thy neighbor, but you can extract it from the stranger, the heathen. All right, but now, because we had our own banking system, you see, we had our own banking system, you see, everything comes from the Middle East, everything comes from Israel. All right, the banking system really came from Israel. All right, but now we're in their power structure. The stranger has gotten above us very high, and what happens is that he lends to us through something called a loan. And one way that he keeps us in slavery is through debt, through mortgages, loans, all right, interest. All right, there's one way he keeps us in debt. All right, there's one way he keeps the yoke about us, man. Because the scripture says what? The borrower is a slave to the lender. The borrower is a servant to the lender. All right, the KJV says a servant, but I think the NIV or the NLT says slave, because they know that a form of slavery is really being in debt. You're a debt slave. We're debt slaves. All right. And what happens is this man has liberated, all right, our women to really work for him. All right. And what he's done in America is that he's created systems in which the Israelite would never build anything. All right, because you're going to find out, according to the scriptures, that really you were the power structure within yourself. All right, your name was the entity within itself. That was the corporation. Your name was the corporation. Your name was the enterprise. Here's the name of the live stream. All right, your estate was actually a business. Okay, and you know, we talk about women's liberation, and Kamala Harris, the election has really exposed the mindset of Eve, because Eve has Jake nowhere in her mind. All right, Eve has been taught to basically, you know, go to college, get degrees, and, you know, basically enjoy Babylon, enjoy her kingdom. But really within our kingdom, within our headquarters, all right, you were the business that really Israelite daughters were being groomed, all right, to really work for, all right? Because you may have 4 wives working for your enterprise, 2 wives, 2 handmaids, whatever it may have you, all right? 2 wives, 2 concubines, all right? But in Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, these were business moves, man. In Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, it tells you that the firstborn son gets a double portion of the inheritance of his father. All right, the systems that we had in Israel, it was business systems. All right, so when you died or your son got married or however the system went, all right, your son got married, all right, well, it's time to give off the inheritance. All right, so they would call it a will. You would sign off a will, give off a will to your little ones. All right, the son got the double portion. All right, that's like a business, right? Where you leave your business to who? Your son. That's nepotism. Nepotism goes back to nephew, but it ultimately goes back to basically, you know, your son or your kinsman, all right, your son being in a high position because of who his father is. All right. But this is the Most High established us as business entities, man. Okay. But this is these are components, these are building blocks to really a nation being built. All right, the father giving his firstborn son a double portion of the inheritance. What's the inheritance? The acres of land. All right, maybe it's houses on the land. All right, the cattle. All right, the livestock. All right, the slaves. All right, the firstborn son gets a double portion. So he's now the heir of their particular enterprise. All right, whatever servants or slaves, all right, your dad had, your father had, now you inherited those slaves. All right, point blank period, man. All right, and you have to understand your lots of land, that was your enterprise, man. Our Israelites, so-called black men, all right, and you will see relics of that in the country, in rural areas, man. All right, people in Mississippi, they will tell you that they have their granddad left them 90 acres of land. All right, you know, they got an uncle out there somewhere in Mississippi. They got 40 acres of land. You see, and what happens is you get a house built on that land, or you build a house, or you have a carpenter to build a house. All right, that's your enterprise, that's your estate. So now the stranger that is within us has gotten above us very high, then we're all working to be servants within the elite power structure. All right, so we're his servants. And he hasn't set up to where we're debt slaves. All right, so he taxes us on cars, he taxes us on mortgages. When the scripture says that, you know, buying a house with other men's money is basically like building a grave for yourself, digging up a grave for yourself, man. All right, you see, because our women look at us, the Israelite woman, especially the so-called black woman, she looks at us like, nigga, you nothing, you're not in power. Esau's in power, you see, but she's within his power structure, and it creates this illusion that it's just Esau is naturally on point, you know, in his world. Like, no. First of all, he built these systems off of the scriptures. During slavery, all right, the plantation system was really reflective of the systems we had within the Torah, the law. Those plantations were agricultural enterprises, man, agricultural corporations, so to speak. All right, and the son inherited whatever his father had. How do you know? Because we still hold the last names of those plantation owners. 250 years later, we still hold the last names of those plantation owners, man. So really, we're still their property, man. That's why, you know, Jake get into Islam and they'll check the last name to X, you know. But the Most High established us. When the Most High established us and we left Egypt, he was building a nation out of us. He was building a power structure out of us, man, to where we will be winning. All right, seeing all these laws, all right, and being implemented, it was going to set us above the nations, man. But even our systems set precedent on how to run a nation. Were there nations already established before us? Of course. All right. But if you want to get deep into it, we were established as the sons of God. Then we were established before all the other nations. Because you got Jake like to say, Kemet was here before Israel. But before there was Kemet, we was established as the sons of God. But it was written allegorically, so it goes over Jake's head. All right, when we were established as the sons of God, we were the rulers of this earth, man. All right? Starting with Adam, which was really Yahweh Shai in his first incarnation. Okay? But going back to the topic, all right, this is important because Jake like to talk about nation building and all that. you go into the laws, you go into our heritage, the Most High already had systems set. That's why Esau wants the father out the household. Because as long as the father out the household, nobody is going to build. That woman is either going to depend on Esau's welfare system or she's going to go out there and work for Esau. Either way, Esau wins and the nation loses, man. We think success is getting a really good job and taking care of your family with this really good job, but really, you had an inheritance from your father, man. All right, Tobit, the book of Tobit was another example of receiving an inheritance, man. All right. All right. So Bias received property from his father-in-law. All right, and he also received property and inheritance from his father. That's how you made sure your son was on point, man. Well, like I said, the manner of daughters was to be groomed to really work in your son's enterprise, or his estates. All right, we were country kings, man. We were agrarian, we were shepherd kings, agrarian rulers, man. All right. That's why it speaks about Job having so many cattle, so many servants, and this and that. He was a shepherd king, man. You see, the Eastern king, but something, a lifestyle and a way of life that's reflective of that is the plantation owners in the South. All right, that's why they hold this Southern legacy to heart, because they feel that they really got this country from the British, all right, and they really established a kingdom in the South, man, through cotton, all right, their white gold, through enslavement of the 12 tribes, enslaving Southern Kingdom down here in the South, all right, and building a power structure, man, made many millionaires and billionaires through that white gold, man. But they established systems that was really based off the Tararah, based off the law. All right, these little Western country kings down south, man, and they were fighting the elites, all right, through the Civil War to really maintain their power in the South. All right, because the elites was making an effort to transfer Jake the slaves from empowering the South to empowering the North through the industrial plants, through the Industrial Revolution. Then we had a second war in which we lost and we didn't really even fight for, was women's liberation. When they got our domestic servants, our wives, our helpmeets, and liberated them to work in their corporations. That's how 100 years prior, we were liberated to work in Esau's industries, okay? So they did it through these different movements called women's liberation, but you're really just liberated to work for Esau, all right? You are no more our helpmeets. When a man said you need a wife, the connotation was to really, you need your helpmeet, all right? But now Eve, Keisha, she's a corporate helpmeet. She went from being a domestic helpmeet to a corporate helpmeet, all right? Which were all in Esau's enterprises, being helpmeets, really being servants. Euphemistically as employees, but we're just servants, you know, made subject to debt, subject to payments, you know, laden with debt, speeding tickets, child support, car loans, mortgages, you know. They're taxing the slaves on the money that they give them. They're taxing the slaves on the money that we work for, and that gets taxed. It's fucked up. Nonetheless, all right, in the kingdom, all right, we're gonna go back to that, man. We're gonna go back to owning the earth, owning parts of the earth, and passing down parts of the earth to your sons and daughters, and you having slaves within your estates, man. All right, that's how you maintain a nation, man. All right, this is part of the Tararah. The laws weren't just made for obedience, and that's it. No, they were designed for us to be a nation within ourselves, a sovereign nation. All right, we want to see that in the kingdom, man. I heard Judge Joe Brown talk about the banking system, and he was saying that the banking system, they got the banking system from the Middle East. All right? And when you go into the scriptures, it talks about the banking system. And you're going to realize that the banking system was, what's that word? It was like personal. It wasn't like you walk into an actual bank per se. Although you had the money exchange center, but you read about it, when your house I flip over the different tables and whatnot. All right, the money exchange center like you would have now. All right, when it comes to a currency exchange, you travel to a different country and you'll get your money transferred from American money to foreign money. But in the ancient world, our banking was, for lack of better words, was interpersonal. But it talks about being a surety for your friend. When you go into the culture and the history of being a surety for your neighbor, is really being a co-signer. You've been a co-signer, so the brother can purchase something, but it talks about the risk that comes with it. Just on this side, you set yourself up as a co-signer. That's what it means to be a surety. A surety for your neighbor. You're being that security through co-signing. Scriptures also speak about not using your neighbor's cloth, what's that, cloak, all right, it's a pledge. Now what is a pledge? It's really collateral, all right, because when you do a mortgage, you're really using that house as collateral for a loan on that bank. But when it comes to your neighbor, all right, he had a outer layer garment, all right, that he used to keep himself warm. But if he used that as a pledge, then whatever he borrowed from you, all right, he's going to freeze at night if he doesn't pay that pledge back. So you can't use that overnight with him. You can't use that as a pledge because that's how he keeps warm at night. That's a banking system, man. All right, lending, loaning, like the book of Sirach and the laws go into loaning because the banking system started in Jerusalem. All right. The elites get their banking styles really from the Middle East. All right. All right, and let me just say, I say the banking system that the elites they got from Jerusalem, because this is a reference from Judge Joe Brown saying that they got the banking system from the Middle East. Now, there was probably always banking system with other nations, of course, but the banking system that we see today is really rooted in the scriptures. All right, but instead of a pledge, we call it collateral. Okay, so we had systems to maintain a nation, all right, within our laws. All right, scripture speak about how a wage servant, he gets his wage at sundown, man. All right. When you go into the book of Tobit in the Good News translation, I believe it's the 2nd chapter, Tobit admonishes his sons to pay his servants that same day. Don't start paying them. But now, man, we'll get paid a week later, 2 weeks later. Hey, man, that's oppression, man. You're really supposed to get paid that same day. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much the point, man. We were the enterprise within ourselves. Our estate, that was the enterprise, that was the business. And it was set up to be generational. All right, for your legacy to win, your posterity to win, just generation through generation. And our daughters, all right, you would marry your daughter into another man's estate, man. Another Israelite man's estate. You see? And that's how we won. That's how we stayed on top, man. All right, this was what you call circulating the money within. Like they were saying at Black Wall Street, they were circulating the money. All right, but this is really circulating the money. All right, and keeping Esau outside the system, man. All right, so being in this captivity so long, sovereignty is foreign to us. It's foreign to us, man. We had our own markets. All right, whatever your craft, whatever your skill was, it was on display at the market, man. All right. Things were sold at the market, man. All right. But with that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kahakudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Abba Bob, Kameh Shalom.